Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for the Q&As, so let's go ahead and get this started. Alright, first question. Coach, for a lifter who has an adductor/quad weakness, which supplemental exercises should he do? Why's it got to be a he, man? I got plenty of female clients. So, over to the point though. Going to be slightly different, aren't they? Depends on how much quad versus adductor you need to get. Probably two of the best adductor exercises I could think of just off the top of my head would be Romanian deadlifts, right? That's way up there. Box sumo deadlifts, right? That'll handle adductors pretty well. Quads, single leg exercises, leg press. Yeah, I actually said that. Do a hack squat machine, a belt squat. Anything. Quads are not that hard to build. The only reason people struggle with quads is because they try to use squatting exclusively to do it. Take any of those movements that reduce axial loading so that you can do more quad volume, and you're good to go, right? Any of those will work. Any of them. And you don't need that many of them. I even like sled drags. Like, look how big my quads have gotten again doing split squats and sled drags. But the other thing to remember, adductors, kind of an important one. Like you're actually more likely to have an adductor weakness on your squat than you are a quad weakness. You really are. And people get upset when you bring this up. Actually, again, I was chatting with Dr. Bacon about that a while back. He gets the same thing. People get really mad. Like I had people get insulting in my comments over this to the point where I had to ban them. Of like, look, the evidence shows that squats just... they're not the most amazing quad exercise, and the quad is important, but it's not even the most important muscle in the squat. Adductors and glutes actually play a slightly larger role, and that's not saying quads don't matter. No one is saying that. But if your goal is to build bigger quads for the purposes of squatting, it's not that hard. It really is. Any of those movements I listed is enough to get you there. Get enough volume in on them. Right? Anything that lets you continue to work the quad that is easier to recover from than a back squat. And I don't really think any of them are better than the others. We could argue maybe the isolateral movements might have some better sport-specific carryover. So in other words, if you want to be more athletic, the single leg exercises might be, a better choice than, say, the leg press. Also a hell of a lot easier to set up. And you don't have to have an actual leg press to do them. But in terms of quad development, for the purposes of bringing up your squat, any of those things will work because all of them have a better stimulus to fatigue ratio in your quads than any form of squat does, So they'll all work. And I don't think any of them are necessarily going to work better than the other. Now, keeping in mind, adductors are a whole other complex thing, and we really need to make sure our adductors and posterior chain are maximally developed because we need them for all of our deadlifts and things as well, right? And I gave you some pretty good examples, but you know what? Split squats still work the adductors pretty well. Belt squats work the adductors pretty well. If you're going wide, how the leg press with a wide stance works the adductors. Right? We shouldn't have weak adductors. If we do, it's because we've been doing nothing but a bunch of narrow stance squatting. Right? That's the only reason we have weak adductors. But those things will all bring those up relatively well. But I mean, again, if I had to really pick, those box sumos work amazing and Romanian deadlifts work amazing. All right, next question. Why are dudes today so obsessed with no body fat and dieting? Eat like a man and enjoy life. What's wrong with being big and strong? They all want to shave their body hair and eat like a chick. Well, social media has created that. And I think the real problem here is the big issue is that they've been lied to by a lot of the current quote-unquote influencers. You guys know I don't like that word. It's the term people use. I hate the term, but it is what it is. I must gag when I have to say it. It's growing on me though. All these influencers are telling them they can make all these lean gains. And then you have every expert who says, no, you're not going to. right? Doesn't matter who it is, whether it's like I mentioned earlier, my bro Dr. Bacon, or whether it's Dr. Mike Israetel. It doesn't even matter. Alan Aragon, all these people with amazing credentials who are all coaches are telling you you're not going to make lean gains. You are not going to keep your abs and gain a lot of muscle. You're going to have to sacrifice them for a while. And they have all these other guys telling them that they can make all these gains while being ripped. Okay, and that's part of the problem. It's you have that mindset that they want to be ripped, and that's fine. Look, if you want to be lean and have abs, I actually don't see a problem with that. Okay, even though I'm big on the strength thing, I don't have a problem with that. If a guy saying, you know what, I want to have abs. You know what, I want to look fit. Well, I don't see an issue with that. If that's a goal you have, hey, great. Better that than to be someone who doesn't work out and who's out of shape. I think we can all agree there. Every one of us can agree on that, right? We would all rather see people go do a strength athlete thing and be 17% body fat, 16% body fat, no real abs but not obese, who just focuses on maximum strength and even their conditioning, right? We would all rather see that than people be couch potatoes. We would all also rather see a guy who works out and does cardio and eats well and does want abs, then we would rather see people continue to be couch potatoes because it's having a negative effect on our society. It's raising your medical insurance rates. If you're in a country that pays for it, it's raising your taxes. It's costing us all money. It clutters the healthcare system. It's bad. We should all want everyone to be training and try to be fit. It is in our best interest as a society. It is. It's in our best interest. So if that's what they need to train, then I would much rather see that. And I think everyone on every end of this argument, we all can universally agree there, right? It's better overall if people are at least training and watching what they eat, whatever their motivation is. The problem is that so many of these kids have been sold this idea of this look, taken to the extreme by guys who are really getting lean to a point that's not sustainable, and they have to use drugs to sustain it, and then try to tell the kids you can do that natural. They can't. Not going to happen. You're going to have a lot of problems if you try to stay 7% body fat completely clean. You're going to start having a real bad time. But they push that, but then they're telling them they can maintain it all the time, and that reinforces the obsession. I think that's the big issue, is that reinforcement. Instead of having them understand it's a delayed gratification. You know what, if they want to gain any muscle, they want to get bigger, they want to look like they lift, not just a skinny guy with abs, they are going to have to bulk. They're going to have to lose those abs, or at least fade them. A really lean guy won't have to gain, a lot of fat per se to make gains. He's going to have to gain some fat. He's going to have to. But he still might have visible abs after, gaining 8 or 10 pounds of body fat on a bulk. And then he can trim back down again. But they've been sold that idea, and that's the problem. Instead of being told, hey, you really need to put in some serious years building your base, and then if you want to trim down leaner like that, that would be the best approach to it. You're actually going to have something to trim down to. All right? But they've been sold this lie that they can have it all at once. And that it sells. It's great for marketing, but it's a lie. It's a con. It's bullshit. But I happen to agree with you. Look for a guy who needs to be big and strong, get big and strong, eat, be a man, lift heavy weights. I'm all for it. Believe me, I'm all about it. But I will also point out at a certain point, to be competitive as a strength athlete, outside of the heavier weight classes, the best lifters are all lean enough to have abs, though, aren't they? Because we got to deal with weight classes. But at that point, it's a matter of competitiveness, isn't it? All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 2.